Imagine waking up, checking your phone, scrolling through an endless stream of updates, opinions, and headlines. Everyone's talking, everyone's sharing, but deep down, you feel disconnected. You have everything people once dreamed of, and comfort, technology, freedom, yet something inside you feels empty. Like a song you can't quite hear anymore. It's not sadness exactly. It's something quieter, a kind of spiritual static. A sense that you're moving fast but not really going anywhere. Have you ever felt that? That strange weight that comes from living in a world overflowing with information, but starving for meaning. For most of human history, life was guided by stories. Religious myths, moral codes, grand purposes. They told us who we were, what mattered, and why we existed. But now, those stories have begun to fade. We've replaced them with data, trends, and self-help mantras. We're told to find our passion, to follow our dreams. But what if the problem isn't that we haven't found our purpose? What if the idea of purpose itself is breaking apart? Once upon a time, the world felt unified. The stars had meaning. The heavens had order. And human life fit into a larger design, whether through God, destiny, or cosmic justice. In that world, meaning wasn't something you found. It was already there. You were born into it. A farmer, a scholar, a priest. Each played a role in a cosmic story that stretched beyond life itself. Then came the modern age. Science grew. Reason replaced faith. We learned that Earth wasn't the center of the universe, and maybe neither were we. This discovery was both thrilling and terrifying. It gave us power over nature, but also took away our sense of place within it. As old beliefs cracked, a new freedom emerged. And with it, a new loneliness. We no longer looked upward for answers. We looked inward. But when everyone becomes their own source of meaning, what happens when those meanings collide or disappear altogether? Society became fragmented. Different truths, different gods, different screens. The unity that once held people together began to dissolve. Nietzsche saw this coming. He called it the death of God. Not the literal death of a deity, but the slow fading of belief itself. He warned that when the old sources of meaning vanish, humanity would face something far more dangerous than doubt: nihilism, the belief that nothing has meaning at all. You can feel it everywhere today. Not in the loud places, not in the chaos of news or noise, but in quiet moments, when you look up from your screen at night and feel a strange silence staring back. When you achieve something you've wanted for years, and it still doesn't fill the space inside. When you realize that pleasure, success, or validation can distract you, but never satisfy you, this isn't depression, it's disconnection. A crisis of meaning. We've built a world of endless stimulation, but no stillness. We chase likes, views, money, and wonder why we still feel unseen. We have more freedom than ever, but no direction to use it. And the strange part, it's not that people don't believe in anything anymore. It's that we believe in too many things and all at once. Every philosophy, every ideology, every lifestyle screaming, this is the way. But deep down, we sense that none of them fully satisfy. Every age faces a kind of question it cannot escape. For ours, it's not what is true, it's what's the point. We've become so good at answering how things work. Science, algorithms, technology, but we've forgotten to ask why. That's the wound Nietzsche warned us about. When we lose the old gods but never replace them with new values, the human spirit begins to drift. But maybe that's where the journey truly begins. Not in having all the answers, but in daring to ask the questions again. To pause, reflect, and look within the emptiness, not as a void, but as a blank page, because perhaps meaning isn't something we've lost, but something we now have to create. And that's where Nietzsche enters the story, not as a destroyer of meaning, but as a prophet of transformation. He didn't simply declare that God is dead, he asked, what comes next? We will explore his warning, his vision, and the dangerous freedom that follows the death of meaning. It begins with a man running through a crowded marketplace, holding a lantern in broad daylight. People laugh at him. They point, mock, and whisper. What is he doing? They ask. He lifts the lantern high and cries out, God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. The crowd stares, confused. They think it's a joke, but the madman looks at them with sorrow. He says, what were we doing when we unchained this earth from its sun? Are we not plunging continually, backward, sideward, forward into nothing? This, Nietzsche wrote, was not a celebration. It was a warning. When he said God is dead, he didn't mean a divine being had literally died. He meant that the belief systems, moral structures, and absolute truths that once gave life meaning had lost their power. The old sources of purpose, religion, tradition, universal truth, were collapsing, and humanity had killed them through skepticism, science, and reason. We discovered evolution, the Big Bang, and psychology. We learned that morality wasn't handed down by heaven, but made by humans. We stopped looking upward for meaning and started looking outward. But in doing so, we pulled the ground out from under our own feet. Nietzsche's question wasn't, is God real? It was, now that we no longer believe, what happens next? He feared what he called nihilism, a slow spiritual decay where people, no longer believing in higher purpose, drift into emptiness. Because when everything becomes relative, when every truth can be questioned, when every belief can be deconstructed, what remains? Without something higher to aim toward, we risk falling into the void. And Nietzsche saw that void coming, not centuries away, but soon. He believed the 20th century would be defined by this death, not of a deity, but of meaning itself. And in many ways, he was right. If there's no ultimate truth, Nietzsche asked, how do we decide what matters? Nihilism isn't simply sadness or disbelief. It's the collapse of value itself. It's when the compass breaks, and you realize there's no map. For Nietzsche, this was the greatest danger to humanity. He feared a world where people, having lost faith in God, wouldn't create anything new, but would instead cling to comfort, distraction, and conformity. Sound familiar? In our time, the abyss Nietzsche described is digital, quiet and ever-present. We scroll endlessly, searching for stimulation that never satisfies. We fill our lives with information, but not wisdom. We crave purpose, but fear silence long enough to find it. Nihilism shows up in the little things, in the feeling that nothing truly matters, that no truth can be trusted, that we're just drifting through chaos, pretending to know where we're going. But Nietzsche didn't see nihilism as the end. He saw it as a transition, a dangerous but necessary stage between the death of old values and the birth of new ones. He once wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." In other words, destruction can be creative. When the old gods fall, we're forced to face the truth. If meaning no longer comes from above, it must come from within. But here's the catch. Facing the abyss is terrifying. Most people turn away. We seek distractions, entertainment, ideologies, anything to avoid staring into that silence. Nietzsche believed only a few would have the courage to confront it, to stand at the edge of the abyss and not look away, because only then can we begin to rebuild. What if meaning isn't discovered but created? Nietzsche asked. What if purpose isn't something we're given, but something we forge? This was his solution, the will to power. Not power in the sense of control or dominance, but the power to create, to shape, to say yes to life even when it hurts. For Nietzsche, life itself is a kind of artistic act. We are all creators, sculpting values, stories, and meanings out of chaos. And the will to power is that inner drive to become more than what we are, to rise above despair, to transform suffering into strength. He believed that humans have a deep instinct, not just to survive, but to overcome, to turn pain into purpose, to turn confusion into art, to turn nothingness into something beautiful. That's why Nietzsche rejected passive resignation. He despised comfort without growth. He urged us to live dangerously, not recklessly, but courageously, to test ourselves, to struggle, to create meaning through action. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. Meaning is not found, it is earned. And those who dare to create it become stronger, freer, and more alive." The will to power is the opposite of nihilism. It's the rebellion against despair. It's saying, even if nothing is given, I will give meaning myself. And maybe that's what Nietzsche wanted us to understand all along, that in the silence after the death of God, the next chapter of meaning begins not in heaven, but in the human heart. The story doesn't end with Nietzsche. In many ways, it begins with him, because the world he warned us about, a world drowning in distraction, noise, and confusion, is the one we live in now. Chapter 3 will explore that modern echo, how nihilism has quietly crept into our culture, our technology, and our daily lives. Not as philosophy, but as reality. We have endless content but no compass. There's a strange irony in our time. We've never had more access to knowledge, yet we've never felt so lost. Every moment, billions of people scroll through glowing screens, consuming fragments of ideas, stories, and emotions. We read quotes about mindfulness while multitasking. We watch documentaries about attention spans we no longer have. We drown in information, but starve for understanding. Nietzsche once warned that when the old gods die, new idols will rise to replace them. Today, those idols are digital, algorithms, influencers, and the dopamine hits of constant validation. Our feeds are filled with opinions, outrage, and advice, but none of it seems to quiet the deeper hunger. Instead of seeking truth, we chase novelty. Instead of reflection, we seek reaction. Instead of wisdom, we crave attention. Every swipe gives us the illusion of progress, yet we remain spiritually stationary. The more we know, the less we understand. The more we connect, the more we feel alone. It's not that technology is evil. Nietzsche would never have said that. He would have said it's a mirror, one that reflects what we value most. And what it shows us today is uncomfortable. A world obsessed with stimulation, terrified of silence. Because silence forces us to face the very thing we've been avoiding, ourselves. In a world of self-help gurus and viral purpose hacks, is meaning becoming a product? Somewhere along the way, meaning became something we could buy. It's in the books that promise to change your life in 30 days. It's in the influencers selling morning routines, vision boards, and how to be your best self. It's in corporate wellness seminars that tell you to breathe deeply between meetings, then send you back to burnout, meaning. Once something deeply personal and spiritual has become a market, we package it, brand it, and sell it, and we consume it like everything else, quickly, superficially, and forgetfully. Nietzsche warned about this too. He called it herd morality, the human tendency to follow rather than create, to adopt ready-made values rather than forge our own. We've simply updated it for the modern age. Instead of priests and philosophers, we have thought leaders and motivational influencers. Instead of confessionals, we have comment sections. Instead of sermons, we have viral threads about 10 ways to find purpose. And yet, deep down, we know that meaning cannot be downloaded. It can't be packaged, outsourced, or purchased. Meaning isn't content, it's confrontation. It's the moment you stop asking what others think and start asking what you truly believe, but that's uncomfortable. And so most people choose the easier path, the marketplace of pre-packaged answers. Quick inspiration instead of slow transformation. We trade the hard work of self-discovery for the comfort of belonging. And in doing so, we lose what Nietzsche believed was most sacred, the power to create meaning for ourselves. What if progress without purpose just accelerates our emptiness? We live in the most advanced age in human history. We've conquered diseases, mapped the genome, connected the planet, and built machines that can think. And yet, anxiety, depression, and loneliness are rising. The world moves faster, but the human spirit seems slower, heavier, more uncertain. Why? Because progress, Nietzsche might say, has become our new religion, but one without a soul. We worship innovation. We idolize productivity. We measure life in metrics, efficiency, and output. But we rarely ask to what end. We've built skyscrapers higher than cathedrals, but we no longer know what we're reaching for. We've replaced prayer with productivity and faith with the grind. And though our tools evolve, our hearts remain tired. Nietzsche feared that once meaning collapsed, humanity would try to fill the void with distraction, comfort, or endless progress. Anything to avoid the terror of confronting the question, why are we doing any of this? He called it the last man, a future human who avoids all risk, all passion, all depth, a person who seeks only comfort, safety, and entertainment, a being who survives but no longer lives. Look around. The last man scrolls through his feed, sips his coffee, hits like, and feels nothing. He mistakes motion for meaning, speed for purpose. That's the quiet despair of progress. We've gained everything, yet somehow lost ourselves. But Nietzsche didn't end with despair, and neither will we. He believed that even in the ruins of meaning there was hope, because only when the old gods fall can new values rise, and maybe, just maybe, the chaos of our time is not an ending, Gus, but an invitation. In the next chapter, we'll explore Nietzsche's vision for what comes after the death of meaning, his call to create new values. to rise above despair and to live with courage, creativity, and affirmation. Because in Nietzsche's world, and our still wise, the end of certainty might just be the beginning of freedom. Nietzsche didn't leave us hopeless. He gave us a challenge. Become more than what we are. Nietzsche's most misunderstood idea is the Übermensch, often mistranslated as the Superman. But it wasn't about domination or arrogance. It was about transformation. When Nietzsche looked at humanity, he saw potential, but also fear. He saw people clinging to comfort, tradition, and certainty, afraid to face the emptiness that came with the death of God. The Übermensch was his answer, a human who creates their own values, who rises above despair, who becomes their own source of meaning. He imagined the Übermensch not as a perfect being, but as an artist of life, someone who shapes themselves, like a sculptor chiseling marble, not to become flawless, but to become authentic. This is the essence of Nietzsche's challenge, self-overcoming. To confront our fears, our weaknesses, our habits, and transform them into strength. To look into the chaos of the world, and instead of retreating, say, I will make something out of this. In the end, Nietzsche's message was not about power over others. It was about power over oneself. To live as the Übermensch is to live courageously, to reject the herd, to embrace the unknown, and to create meaning where none is given. It's the art of turning suffering into wisdom and uncertainty into creation. He believed that through self-overcoming, humanity could evolve, not biologically but spiritually. That each of us could become a bridge between what we are and what we might yet become. The Übermensch is not a person. It's a direction, a horizon we walk toward even if we never arrive. If life has no given meaning, maybe beauty is how we make peace with the void. When the old gods fall silent, art begins to speak. Nietzsche saw art as the highest form of human expression, not as decoration but as defiance. Because when we create, we take the raw chaos of existence and turn it into something beautiful, something that says, yes, even this has value. He admired the ancient Greeks for this reason. They lived in a world full of tragedy and suffering, yet they celebrated life through theater, music, and myth. Their art didn't hide the pain, it transformed it. Nietzsche believed that's what we must do too, to live creatively, not just in painting or poetry, but in how we think, work, and love. To treat life itself as a canvas, to turn every limitation into an act of creation. He once wrote, "We have art in order not to perish from the truth, because truth can be hard, that we are small. That meaning isn't given, that suffering is inevitable. But art makes those truths bearable. It turns the unbearable into beauty, and in doing so it teaches us something essential. If the universe gives us no purpose, we can give it one. Through what we create, through how we live, and through the courage to see beauty even in imperfection. The artist in Nietzsche's eyes is the true philosopher, because they don't explain life. They affirm it. What if the ultimate freedom is saying yes to everything? Of all Nietzsche's ideas, none is more profound or more peaceful than Amor, Fati, the love of fate. It means to not just accept life, but to love it. Every joy, every pain, every mistake, every loss. To look at your life and say, yes, this too. Nietzsche believed that freedom doesn't come from escaping suffering, but from embracing it, seeing it as part of the dance of existence, as necessary as joy itself. Imagine reliving your life and every moment again and again exactly as it was. Would you curse it or would you say yes? That, Nietzsche said, is the test of Amor, Fati. To live in such a way that you could embrace eternity, to love your story so deeply that you would live it again, not differently, but just as it is. It's not a passive acceptance. It's an act of strength, a rebellion against bitterness. Because to love fate is to stop wishing life were easier and start finding meaning in what is. In a godless world, Amor Fati becomes a kind of sacred act. It transforms suffering into wisdom and randomness into destiny. It's saying that I may not control what happens, but I control how I respond. I may not find meaning in the universe, but I can give meaning to my own existence. That is Amor Fati, the courage to love the fire that forges you. And so, Nietzsche's philosophy, often mistaken for despair, reveals itself as something radically hopeful. He didn't tell us that life was meaningless. He told us that meaning was ours to create. In the final chapter, we'll explore what it means to live that philosophy, to find purpose without illusion, to embrace freedom without fear, and to become the authors of our own meaning in a world without maps. Maybe meaning was never meant to be found, but lived. We spend so much of life searching for answers, for direction, for purpose. We look to philosophy, religion, success, love, hoping one of them will finally tell us why we're here. But maybe Nietzsche was right. Maybe meaning isn't hidden somewhere waiting to be discovered. Maybe it's something we build, moment by moment, choice by choice. Meaning in this sense isn't a treasure, it's a practice. It's not about certainty, but about courage. Not about perfection, but about creation. Nietzsche believed that to live meaningfully in a godless world, we must stop chasing truth as comfort and start embracing truth as confrontation. To live with curiosity instead of conclusion. To see life not as a puzzle to solve, but as a work of art to shape. The illusion we must let go of is that meaning will one day arrive, wrapped neatly and labeled purpose. It won't. But what can arrive, if we're brave enough, is a kind of peace that comes from creating, exploring and daring to live fully, even when nothing is certain. Ask questions, seek experiences, create something, a story, a song, a connection. Let your life be a conversation with the unknown, not a desperate attempt to escape it. Because meaning, when lived rather than sought, becomes something far more powerful than belief. It becomes being. When nothing is guaranteed, everything becomes possible. At first, Nietzsche's message feels frightening. There are no absolute truths, no divine plan, no cosmic guarantee that life matters. But hidden inside that truth is a strange kind of liberation. If nothing is predetermined, then everything is open. If there is no fixed path, then every step is creation. This is the moment Nietzsche called for the birth of the free spirit, a person unchained from external rules, ready to live by their own values. Not selfishly, but authentically. Not recklessly, but creatively. Think about it. If there's no script, then you are the author. If there's no fixed destiny, then the future is yours to write. Freedom, Nietzsche reminds us, isn't comfort. It's responsibility. It's looking at the blank canvas of existence and saying, I accept this, and I will paint something on it. From nihilism, from the collapse of old meaning, comes possibility. Because once you stop waiting for the world to give you purpose, you can finally begin to create your own. And that's the paradox of Nietzsche's philosophy. The death of God isn't the end of meaning, it's the moment when meaning becomes human. When we stop being passive believers and start being active creators, that's freedom. Not the absence of limits, Mao, but the presence of choice. Not the denial of meaning, but the courage to make it. Perhaps the death of meaning isn't an end, but the beginning of something truer. The world Nietzsche warned about is the one we now inhabit. A world of noise, speed, and distraction. A world where meaning feels fragile and truth feels optional. And yet, within this very chaos, lies the same opportunity Nietzsche saw more than a century ago. We can choose to despair, or we can choose to create. We can drift through the void, or we can turn it into a horizon. We can surrender to meaninglessness, or we can live beyond it. Living beyond meaning doesn't mean rejecting purpose. It means living without illusions. It means seeing the world exactly as it is, imperfect, uncertain, impermanent, and saying, yes, I choose this anyway. Because the beauty of life has never been in its guarantees, it's in its possibilities, in the laughter after pain, in the courage to keep searching even when no final answer appears. Nietzsche's final gift wasn't despair, it was a dare. A challenge to live boldly, love deeply, and create endlessly, even in the absence of certainty. He reminds us that the meaning of life is not something we find at the end of the road. It's something we leave behind, in every step we take. So maybe the death of meaning wasn't a tragedy after all. Maybe it was an awakening, an invitation to stop looking for someone else to tell us what life means, and to finally begin writing that story ourselves. Because in the end, the question isn't what is the meaning of life. It's how will you live now that you know it's yours to define?